How will I raise money? A single founder who was 24 wasn't the most attractive. I mean, I've gone through at least 200 failed pitches with people just saying they're going to pass on any type of investment in us. So yeah, I was.
Hello everyone, this is Shweta Dalmia and welcome to another amazing episode of the Climapreneur Show. And today's episode is sponsored by House of Clima, your one-stop place to shop affordable and sustainable fashion. I always say this and I'll say this again. Climate action is beautiful. Climate action has the power to turn your dreams into reality. So, what are you waiting for? And having said that, today's guests, as you might already have seen in the show icon, they don't need any introduction, I would say. Their work speaks, their passion to create solution, it speaks. And we are fortunate enough to have this amazing combination today on the show. The co-authors of the book Bare Necessities, Sahar Mansoor, the founder of Bare Necessities, and Tim, the reader and environmentalist. So guys, let's dive into the conversation. Hello, guys. Hi, Tim. Hi, Sahar. Welcome to the Climapreneur Show. It's a pleasure for us to have you guys here, and especially at the time when your book has just launched. And also, you're officially now the part of I call them amazing climapreneurs because they're creating climate solutions. So, welcome to the Climapreneur Show, both of you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Okay, so we'll start with your introduction. I love saying this line: tell the world who is Sahar Mansoor, tell the world who is Tim the reader.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sahar. I'm from Bangalore. I grew up here. I call myself a climate optimist. I really care about sustainability, whether that's renewable energy, waste management, how we can reinvent for a more circular economy. Yeah, that's just a little bit about me. And I grew up spending most of my weekends in Carbon Park. Yeah, that's about it.
Tim, a bit about yourself, give us an introduction.
Sure. Hi, thanks for having me. So I'm Australian, and I'm sort of a sustainability professional that's been working both in Australia and across Southeast Asia, as well as in South Asia for a couple of years, working with a lot of community development, social impact projects, and focused on different aspects of the environment, reducing waste, which led me through to consult for a few different social enterprises within India for a number of years, including Sahar's Bare Necessities in Bangalore. So it's fantastic.
Okay, so I'll begin with why did you guys write this book, Bare Necessities, and what was your motivation behind it?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, we were doing a bunch of talks and workshops in order to kind of raise awareness about the largest global garbage crisis that we're currently going through and experiencing. And, we really think that awareness and education is like a really powerful tool in order to sensitize people towards what's happening. And honestly, we wanted to make a one-stop shop, a very easy, accessible manual for people to use, a little guidebook that could guide them through their own zero waste journey, wherever you might be in your journey. And that's kind of the idea behind the book. Honestly, it started back in 2017 when Tarani, our editor from Penguin Random House, actually reached out to us and wanted to write a book. But unfortunately, we were a really small team at the time, which meant we just couldn't allocate that kind of time commitment towards writing a book. Um, so yeah, we kept in touch, and in 2019, Tim and I started to write it together.
My motivation, well, it's quite fortunate to connect with Sahar after I was working actually in Bangalore with a composting organisation, Daily Dump, for a little while prior to meeting Sahar, and was connected with her from sort of a friend from a friend. This happens in the sustainability space and the climate space as well. And I think the focus on the environment, everyone gets to know each other quite well. And it was fantastic to work alongside a growing team, one where she focuses on supporting a range of people, including, say, just to pick a few, of manufacturing team there, which is all from local women, some of who hadn't actually had a job before prior to joining Sahar. So it's really good to work alongside to understand those social impact reasons. Then added to that, when we ran workshops and talks, the more that Sahar and I talked about and reflected on those events, we really understood that there are a lot of questions that lots and lots of people wanted to ask and were asking during the events, But then we sort of turned around and went, well, that's only one room of one amount of people. How do we go and spread this awareness further? Which is really leading us to one of Sahar's dreams for some time, creating a knowledge hub of information for zero waste, sustainability, the circular economy in one location, which led to that book, fortunately, after we were writing some articles and doing some posts and blogs, and then also to the online education programs that Bare Necessities has now. So sort of a number of areas, but a lot of feedback from people, and also a lot of questioning to ourselves about how we can go and spread the information we had and wanted to share to a broad audience.
That has been like an incredible journey, and as Saha, you mentioned that it was back in 2017, and now in 2021 you're actually, your book is out in the world. So how do you feel that when you see that, you've like written your first book? How did you feel when you had that first copy in your hand?
Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. It was very unreal to actually have a physical copy in your hand. And the first thing I did was actually take a video and send it to Tim and Taranya, our editor.
Okay, so Tim, like as you also mentioned that you're working with like a lot of community, I would ask you that how has working with community on the ground level impacted you on a personal level? Like because I have always like in my personal experience also we see when you involve people to create climate solutions, it has like a roller snowball effect. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, of course. So I think working with people just on a whole really teaches you some humility and empathy, really two important parts when you're working with people from different backgrounds. And that could be a background, if we're talking economically speaking, higher or lower than yourself, different cultural backgrounds. It's certainly even things like different languages. I am completely fluent in one language, which is far less than a lot of people in India. So to actually learn where their perspective is, and when I'm talking to people in my main language and they are translating through a couple, it really sort of provides a perspective where I want to learn, empathize with people, really understand where they're coming from, as well as from what I've found, they want to learn a lot more about me. So it actually creates this really nice global network, no matter where you are. And whether we're focused on talking about climate action or zero waste or any other topic as well, it's just a really good way to get out there. And one of those benefits of, well, prior to the last year, being able to get out and about and travel, but certainly we can do that on the ground level in our own communities still. Obviously, with social distancing and everything in mind this year. But yeah, certainly that interaction, networking, and connectivity are really key points and things that are really important to me, both in a professional sense, but also on a personal level as well.
So, what's your take on this? Like working with communities, creating climate solutions, because you have been into this from a really long time. So, what has been your experiences, particularly when you're working in India?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think grassroots action is kind of the bedrock of local economy, and then kind of the bedrock of all of our countries. So I think it really starts with community, whether it is a solar lighting system that is a community grid, whether it is a solar water pump for farmers, or if it's communities that are doing cleanups in their own building complex or clothes swaps at their universities. I think climate action and just starts with a sense of community, because we're all in this together, and together we feel more powerful if we're going to try and combat some of these dramatic effects that this generation is going to face. So yeah, I think it's the bedrock really of anything. It's kind of it's the foundation.
So, like having said that, when you started Bare Necessities, so like, did you imagine at that point of time that you will come this far? Like in your journey, and like when I talk to people about bare necessities, they're like, oh yeah, like everyone knows bare necessities, and sort of it has become like like that one thing in the sustainable space that everyone knows about. When you talk about sustainability, like when I started, so I like, it's like a little milestone for me today. When I started, I had my first episode, so I was like, okay, we do like a lot of podcasts with entrepreneurs driving climate action. My mother was like, okay, so you're gonna have bare necessities on your podcast. So that has become like that level. Okay, sustainability, bare necessities, and India, and I'm not even kidding. So like, how do you feel about coming this far? Did you imagine that you will come this far when you started bare necessities?
Honestly, Shweta, first of all, thank you so much. That is so, so generous, and that is the biggest compliment I've ever gotten. um, yeah, honestly, it was really kind of accidental. I didn't plan to create a sustainable enterprise. Um, but I was really passionate about working in kind of the environmental sphere because I wanted to be part of the solution that was addressing, because we're facing so many crazy problems, and I knew I just wanted to be part of the solution in some way. Um, Honestly, I'm just really fortunate. I have an amazing team. Everyone here is super passionate about what they're doing, and I don't think we would have come this far without this amazing team kind of really rocking and leading what they're trying to do and being so fearless, and like any dream is like a dreamable dream, and I love that spirit about the Bare Necessities team.
So, like, what were your fears when you were just starting up? Like, did you have any of those fears? Because, like, when I talk to people who are just starting up their brands, like, sometimes they feel restless. Okay, what next is gonna come? How are we gonna scale up? Is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? So, what were your fears when you started?
Oh my God, so many fears. Acceptance. Will people understand this concept? Will people care? Will people like the products? Is the pricing okay? How do we make it more accessibly priced? How will I raise money? A single founder who's 24 wasn't the most attractive. I mean, I've gone through at least 200 failed pitches, with people just saying they're going to pass on any type of investment in us. So yeah, I was filled with lots of fears, to be honest. We're still really small and humble. We work out of my mom's garage. Um, but in early days, definitely, I had a lot of fear about whether I was doing the right thing, kind of quitting my job, my full time job, and trying to create this enterprise.
So Tim, like, as you guys have sort of like written this book on zero waste living, sustainability, did you felt like a lot of people say like they feel eco-whelmed, like because sometimes it happens with me as well. With small decisions, I feel okay, yeah, like should I be doing this? Because now you know that what is good, what is not good. So while writing the book, did you have that introspection? Did you feel eco-fatigue or those kinds of things?
Personally, and perhaps speaking with Sahar, on behalf of Sahar a little bit, I think both of us are quite optimistic and positive about everything, because we do, and certainly in my case, reflect on a lot of the wins. And I think that's one of the big things to do. And sort of falling back on a couple of the other questions that you're asking about solutions, and sort of also working with a team and talking to people within the community. One of the really big parts about that is understanding what their impacts are, because certainly from my perspective, I'm currently based in Sydney. It's quite comfortable where I'm actually living compared to some of the places where I've been working. So the people who are really affected by climate action or large amounts of waste, and they're having to pick all the waste through and go and sort and segregate, are the ones at the bottom level. So in terms of being eco fatigued, because I've had those kind of experiences of visiting some of those waste sites and low income communities where they've got very little access to electricity. And in those instances, I was working with a organisation providing solar power to them, but that was a really big thing for these communities. So having that kind of experience, and I'd recommend it to anyone if you've got an opportunity to go and speak to people around. And it doesn't need to be go and visit a giant waste site. It can just be go and talk to people at the corner store just to say hello, see where they're coming from. And that connectivity can really help continue your, let's say, avoid the eco fatigue that you're talking about, but also continue that positivity. And I was mentioning the other day to Sahar just a workshop that I ran some time ago in Chennai, actually, where a lot of people were a little bit downtrodden about the amount of effort they were going through and didn't see the big wins. During that workshop, I was talking to about a group of 60 people or so, and asked the question how many people had reusable bags 5 years ago. And there was about 2, 3 people of the 60-person crowd put their hand up, and then turned around and said, okay, how many people today reuse things, do not use single-use items where they can? So they've got reusable bags, got hair straws or other sustainable products that other enterprises are packing, or carpooling, other sustainable practices, and every single person had it on. So it's being able to get that bit of perspective so that you are not getting fatigued, and hopefully staying as positive as Sahar and I do, but also understanding that sometimes you will feel a little bit down, but that's okay. Take a breath, talk to other people, share that knowledge about the wins, and keep trying.
Very well said. And like I would like to ask you, because you've done a lot of workshops, talking to a lot of people. So what is the one question that you come across the most?
Where do I start? I don't know if that's my question or the question from the crowd.
No, definitely. I think that's the number one question. How do I get started?
And Tim, what would you say to that? How do I get started?
A lot of it is coming down to making a choice to get started. Where you're actually starting for Sahar or for yourself or for myself may differ. We might, including the rest of the crowd, there may be different areas. So one person might want to start in, say, the bathroom area, where Sahar started, reducing the amount of toothpaste and other waste that she was actually using. In her instance, creating an entire brand where she goes and retails these kind of products, which obviously isn't going to be for everyone. However, other people may want to go about and purchase those products to reduce waste, but then also address other areas that might be immediately important to them. Maybe the kitchen, so learning how to compost, or within the community and taking sustainable transport as well. So, really about making that choice, thinking about where you are making waste, how, and assessing all of those areas, and then making those choices by sharing knowledge and learning from everyone else. And there's more and more people in the world that have been doing this, so it's easier and easier to get on board as well and learn from everyone else.
Incredible. So, like Saha, what do you think is the one most important aspect for someone trying to create climate solution, for someone trying to build a social enterprise based on a solution like you did?
I think the key thing would be never forget your why, um, because it's a long journey, and there are going to be several moments in your entrepreneurship journey that you're going to have lots of downs, but never forget the reason why you started. And I think that will be something that will keep you going. And I think in terms of solutions, definitely keep people at the heart of your solutions, because if you care about them, they'll care about the enterprise, and it's important to kind of maintain that empathy, be empathetic towards the planet, be empathetic towards the people, and try and balance, as cliche as it does sound, the people, planet, profit.
And what were your like little milestones with bare necessities?
Oh, so many. Well, my
When
first
you
ever
hire me,
milestone. Absolutely. Honestly, setting up the tiny manufacturing unit and hand painting it myself was a really big milestone moment for me. And then, kind of, my first hire, my second hire, each hire has been an amazing kind of milestone moment. And then, kind of, taking over and making a small little headquarters in my mom's garage was another milestone movement. The book, of course, is huge. Our online courses. There've been several amazing, exciting milestone moments, and I'm so grateful for them all.
if
So,
I
Tim,
can
tell us.
chime
Oh,
in
yeah,
on
add to
that,
it.
sorry, just aside from my joke, just and I'm obviously came in a little bit later, so I was working in her business for a period of time. But I think the milestone moment for me, just reflecting on the stories that she's been telling, is her ability to teach her staff and also learn from her staff, and you kind of see that progression and the commitment and the passion that all of her team members have, and anyone that she meets along the workshops as well, talking with climate action groups that she does, and also zero waste groups as well. Anything and everything. That sort of teaching mentality and the way that she's evolved that over time is probably an ongoing milestone. But that's from my perspective, just looking from the outside in.
And Tim, your advice for someone who is wanting to like start living a zero waste life?
Sure. Just initially think about why you want to do that and have that as the core reason. So falling back on what Zahir was talking about, and really living more sustainably is about a transition. It's not about doing it overnight. So learning about the process, what works for you, redefining and redesigning that where you need to along the way to just continue improving. It's just like life in general.
And Tim, what is one positive thing about climate action that you would say?
More and more people are becoming involved. So Even looking back a couple of years ago when I first 3 years, 4 years ago when I first got to India, just for instance, and I was working other locations prior to that, the involvement was very, very small compared to what it is now. And the more we continue, the more people are learning about it, understanding the effects that it is to them. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world because we are all interconnected. Sharing that knowledge, and yeah, that's the higher level of involvement is definitely the big plus and the big thing to keep remembering as we keep moving forward.
For everyone who's sitting out there imagining, okay, there's this amazing book out there, the cover looks amazing. Why should I go open the book? Why should I read it?
Yeah, I'll answer this from the outside in, especially if for people who may read this and haven't visited India, or if they're from outside and have. Quite similar to, say, if anyone reads a US book and you've never been there, or a book from Europe and you've never been there, you're learning about those kind of areas. And the book, we have interwoven Sahar's insights, some of the topics she has talked about tonight on the podcast, throughout. And in that way, you get to understand a perspective that isn't your own necessarily, especially if you're living overseas, like I am, or like many other people are who have not visited. And in that way, it's really interesting to learn that cultural difference, but then see similarities for how you might be in a different location of the world. So, really learning about that and sharing your own stories, I think, is that underlying theme, or one of the underlying themes that we've got throughout. And the way that Sahar has managed to do that throughout the book really, I think, speaks to everyone, no matter where you are in the world. So definitely jump on board and have a read, because the story of a zero waste waster, if we could call it, zero waste champion, if you like, is really inspiring to read and can get you inspired, understand what to do and how to do it.
So this book is for everyone, I would say, from kids to adults to everyone. So like, I like the book, I like the cover, I really want to read it. So would you say go
Yeah,
find
so
Bare Necessities on Bare Necessities? Okay, so the final question, not question, actually, the final thing would be, like Tim, like tell one positive thing about Saha that you really like.
she can put up with me. One positive thing is that she's keeps learning and
Hmm.
listening to everything and everyone around her each day. And in terms of being able to run her own social enterprise, that's a very positive thing. And I think it shows throughout any of the material that she's created, and the knowledge hub that I mentioned, including the book, including the courses, and also through her products as well.
Wow, that's incredible. And like, I would say that how can someone not read this book actually? Like, you've created it with so much love, so much compassion. You know, your feelings are very clear with the book. So, guys, please go read this book. You can find the book on Bare Necessities. And yes, Sahar and Tim, thank you so much for being in the show. Thank you for inspiring us. And keep writing amazing books so we can have you more and more. And thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.